It is common knowledge that those individuals who don't run from their past mistakes are doomed to repeat them. Mostly when it comes to the United States, most young people don't understand the history of the United States. That's why young individuals, more especially from the conservative movement, are readily open to give up their voting rights. But do they understand that the United States, which we are at the moment, never existed before like that? It was a country where for you to vote, you needed to have some property. And in that society, only a few elites who are the property. So most of the Americans, whether they were slaves or they were middle class Americans, those individuals had to vote for those rights in order for them to start voting. Now, this Tipusa event, there were individuals who were entertaining this idea that if America was going to turn into more traditional, they were open to giving up voting rights. Have a look on what she is trying to say.
A main stage headliner is no longer backing Trump or Republicans, saying she won't vote in the midterms.
He made it seem like everything was going to become more affordable. Now the economy's worse. He promised no more wars in the Middle East, and we are in a war. So it's disappointing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Savannah Stone is a 21-year-old trad wife influencer with 800,000 followers on social media. She is a rising star in Christian conservative circles, even though she embraces highly controversial fringe positions.
I'm going to start this off really strong. I don't think women should vote anyways. If somebody asked me, if the government was like, okay, if we could have a more conservative country, if all women gave up their vote, I would gladly give up my right to vote to have a more conservative country.
One thing which I understand about the mob, about the crowd, is that most individuals, more especially when it comes to voting, they have no clue what they are doing. Most individuals end up being convinced the day before on who to vote for. Most individuals have no idea who the candidate which presents the best interest of them is. That's why some individuals in a club, when they are completely drunk, come with a suggestion and they end up voting for that individual, even if the individual is not going to represent their interest. That's why even the American founding fathers understood that giving more power to the mob, to the crowd, was not going to be the best interest of the elite people. That's why when the United States was being created, most individuals allowed those who own property to be the voters. Blood had to be shed, individuals had to go on strikes, women had to vote for their rights in order to start voting. Now it is in 2026 and most individuals have taken that advantage or privilege for granted. That's why individuals who are attending Tipusa events are entertaining those ideas. But once they realize that it's bloodshed, it took lives of millions and millions of people for them to have access to voting, then they should have more time, they should allocate more time, which is going to enable them to understand their history and also the individual or the privilege with voting us. Now let's talk about Donald Trump. Donald Trump has frustrated most individuals. Most individuals, more especially the MAGA movement, they had this idea that Donald Trump was a heavenly sent angel. But from this read, you can see she has been frustrated and she has gone ahead to say she is not going to vote in 2026 midterm elections. This is an election which, if Donald Trump goes ahead and loses, he is going to be an individual who is a president but has no powers. He is just going to be a statue of the United States. Because once the Democrats holds the power, then he is going through hell. But there are some chances he may go ahead and grab the powers of either the Senate or the lower house. Because, as you have already said, most individuals are not in a position to trust, not to trace the progress of the president or the candidate who is in office. For instance, at the moment, Donald Trump is making Americans to pay the price in terms of the war which is going on against Iran. But if this war, as Donald Trump is kind of gesturing, ends within a short period of time, within 2 months, most individuals in the American are going to forget that Donald Trump had broken the promise. He promised a decent living standards for most Americans. But Donald Trump, when he was asked about the inflation among the people in the United States, Donald Trump said he really didn't care about the people of the United States. When asked why he was defunding some of the healthy institutions, Donald Trump said they didn't have money, they were having foreign wars which they were fighting. That's the Donald Trump who most individuals in the MAGA movement fought for. Donald Trump is overseeing individuals filing for bankruptcy, more especially when it comes to farmers. And this is because he went ahead and started a trade war with foreign countries. These countries included China. And China was one of the countries which bought a lot of soybean from the United States. Once it diverted its attention to Brazil, most American farmers went into bankruptcy. And this is because of Donald Trump. So when you see young individuals, especially in the MAGA movement, frustrated, it's because of Donald Trump. No any other individual who is making frustration to most Americans more than the President of the United States, that's Donald Trump. That's why you find individuals like Meghan Kelly, Tucker Carlson, not Steve Smith, but we have Tucker Carlson, Candace Owen, Meghan Kelly, Sean Ryan, all those individuals have abandoned the MAGA movement because the promises Donald Trump made, they were not something which he has gone ahead to deliver. The individual I was saying is Dave Smith. This is one of the individuals who went ahead and publicly apologized for supporting Donald Trump. Tucker Carlson has also done the same. So this whole idea that individuals in the MAGA movement are willing to give up their voting rights, it's because they don't understand the history, or the history which they have is that history which is polished and doesn't give out the true facts of what the United States people initially had to go through for them to gain their voting rights. And also, individuals in the MAGA movement being frustrated at the moment, it's because Donald Trump has clearly betrayed them in the broad daylight. Anyway, just go ahead, leave your thoughts in the comment section about the individuals in the MAGA movement, more especially in the Tipusa events, suggesting that they are willing to give up their voting rights in order for them to have a more traditional family. At the same time, leave your thoughts concerning the individuals of Donald Trump in the MAGA movement being frustrated because Donald Trump never fulfilled the promises which he gave in the first place. As usual, just go ahead, like, subscribe, don't forget to share. See you in my next one. Siku njema.